Hi, I'm Seeley Quest. I appreciate the opportunity to contribute to this blog series as a trans ally. I don't usually make video, but I'm trying it out to give my body a break. So when I was thinking about what I might focus on, I wanted to look some into Dom's work and found an essay that Carmela Hutchison published at Rabble this past July. FYI, this is where content could be triggering. Discussion of social pressure, death for disabled people rather than support to live. So Carmela, in that essay, argues against the pardon from prison of Tracy Latimer's father, who decided to kill her when she was 12, rather than explore more ways to potentially communicate with her, being relatively nonverbal with severe CP, and getting clearer on what she wanted and would find helpful. It's alarming, the amount of critical comments from readers who keep bound to the defense statements that doctors said Tracy's condition could only be expected to worsen and just be more and more pain and suffering. There are so many times that doctors' predictions don't come to pass. And yet there's a whole lot of reader pushback and I would say ignorance about Carmela's argument. So it got me thinking of a recent local case that I learned of in 2016. The Montreal Gazette reported on Archie Rolland, a person with Lou Gehrig's disease, who experienced so much neglect and mistreatment at a long-term care facility in Lachine that he said he would rather die, and was pursuing discharge from the facility to go pursue an assisted suicide. And the article said, quote, "It's not the illness that's killing him. He's tired of fighting for compassionate care." More recently, even just last year in Ontario, turns out a patient with very limited limb movement who relies on daily care could still operate a digital recording device, and he's released some audio and video that he recorded about the staff there pressuring him basically toward choosing death. Yet he has continued to insist on support, thankfully. Just from this past January, I found a report on a medical neglect issue that especially affects many people who identify as women. Pelvic mesh implant phenomena that is being used to deal with incontinence, but the way that the implant interacts with the urethra and sometimes other, larger network in the pelvic region. These mesh implants seem to be malfunctioning, failing at a pretty intense rate, and the amount of women who have gotten surgeries who end up with chronic and acute pain. It's a severe enough situation that just from this winter, there was a woman reported in British Columbia who said that she was going to go toward an assisted suicide, not just because of the physical pain, but also the distress associated with practitioners not taking her pain seriously. And this is reported also by many of the women with this experience that trying to make statements about this feels really wrong, this is really severely painful, just being totally disregarded. So what occurred to me as far as the issue of accessibility was that simply access to justice is the most urgent note to highlight. We need change in the law at national and all lesser scales, simultaneously with education campaigns to inform public perception of justice-based social relating. Enough critical mass of public expressions valuing disabled and deaf and mad and sick and neurodivergent lives will reinforce laws going into practice. Thank you for participating in this blog series. Big respect to disabled women in Alberta, Canada.